In a world filled with artists, inventors, and thinkers, few names shine as brightly as Leonardo da Vinci. He was more than just a painter. He was a dreamer, an innovator, and a man who saw the future long before it arrived. Born in an era when most people accepted the world as it was, Leonardo dared to imagine what could be. He sketched flying machines centuries before airplanes were invented. He studied the human body with the precision of a modern surgeon. He created paintings so lifelike that even today, people stare in awe, trying to unlock their secrets. But Leonardo's journey was not easy. He was born as an illegitimate child, which meant he couldn't get a formal education like others. He faced rejection, competition, and even failure. Yet, none of this stopped him. His curiosity and determination pushed him forward, allowing him to change the world forever. His life is a lesson to all of us. Never stop learning, never stop imagining, and never stop creating. Join me as we step into the incredible world of Leonardo da Vinci, the artist who painted the future. Episode 1: The Curious Mind of a Young Genius. It all began in a quiet village in Italy. On April 15th, 1452, a baby boy was born in the small town of Vinci. His name, Leonardo. Unlike most children, Leonardo wasn't interested in ordinary games. He was fascinated by everything. He watched birds in the sky and wondered how they could fly. He studied the way water moved through streams, tracing patterns no one else noticed. He would pick up rocks, leaves, and insects, sketching them in incredible detail. But Leonardo faced a challenge. He was born out of wedlock. In those days, that meant he couldn't attend the best schools. While other boys studied Latin and philosophy, Leonardo had to learn in his own way. And that's exactly what he did. He spent hours in nature studying the world as if it were his classroom. He taught himself by observing, sketching, and asking questions that no one else thought to ask. His curiosity was unstoppable, and soon his father noticed something incredible. Leonardo could draw like no other. His father, seeing his son's talent, made a decision that would change Leonardo's life forever. He sent him to Florence, the heart of art and culture, to become an apprentice in one of the greatest art workshops of the time. Leonardo's journey had just begun. Episode 2: An apprentice in Florence. Florence, in the 15th century, was a city of magic, a place where art, science, and invention thrived. For a young Leonardo, it was a dream come true. At the age of 14, he became an apprentice in the workshop of Andrea del Verrocchio, a master artist known for his sculptures and paintings. But Verrocchio wasn't just an artist. He was an engineer, a craftsman, and a thinker. His workshop was filled with tools, paints, sculptures, and inventions. Leonardo's first task: grinding pigments and preparing paint. It wasn't glamorous, but he did it with patience. Soon he was trusted with bigger responsibilities: sketching, sculpting, and even assisting Verrocchio in painting. One day, Verrocchio was working on a painting of John the Baptist being baptized by Jesus. He asked Leonardo to paint a small part of it, an angel standing in the background. When the painting was finished, something astonishing happened. Leonardo's angel was so beautiful, so detailed, so full of life that it outshone the rest of the painting. Verrocchio was stunned. Some say he was so amazed that he never painted again, realizing his young apprentice had already surpassed him. But Leonardo wasn't just learning how to paint. He was learning how light and shadow shaped the world, how human emotions could be captured on canvas, and how science and art were deeply connected. Even as a young apprentice, he was already seeing the world differently from everyone else. Episode 3: Mastering Art and Science. By the time Leonardo finished his apprenticeship, he was no longer just a student. He was a master in his own right. But unlike other artists, he didn't just want to paint beautiful pictures. He wanted to understand how the world worked. While others painted faces, Leonardo studied the muscles underneath the skin. While others sculpted statues, he sketched flying machines, bridges, and war weapons. His notebooks were filled with ideas far ahead of his time. He also began developing his own artistic techniques. One of them was sfumato, a method where colors and shadows blended so smoothly that you couldn't see the brushstrokes. This technique would later give his paintings like the Mona Lisa their mysterious and lifelike quality. But Leonardo's ideas were too advanced for many to understand. Some people thought his obsession with science was strange. Others couldn't see the point of studying human anatomy just to paint better. Yet, Leonardo kept going. He knew that art was more than just beauty. It was a way to unlock the secrets of the universe. His reputation grew, and soon the rulers of Italy began noticing him. Powerful patrons wanted him to work for them, offering him money, fame, and opportunities to create on a grand scale. Leonardo was now on the path to greatness, but his greatest masterpieces were still ahead of him. Episode 4: The Mystery of the Mona Lisa. Leonardo da Vinci painted many incredible works, but none is more famous than the Mona Lisa. Today, millions visit the Louvre Museum just to catch a glimpse of her mysterious smile. But how did this masterpiece come to life? It began around 1503 when a wealthy silk merchant in Florence, Francesco del Giocondo, commissioned a portrait of his wife, Lisa Gherardini. At first, it seemed like an ordinary painting, another noblewoman captured on canvas. But Leonardo saw it differently. Unlike traditional portraits, where subjects sat stiff and lifeless, Leonardo wanted Lisa to feel alive. He studied her expressions, her posture, and even how light played across her face. He used his special sfumato technique, blending colors so smoothly that no brushstrokes were visible. But what makes the Mona Lisa so famous? It's her smile, a smile that seems to change depending on how you look at it. Some see warmth and kindness, while others see mystery or even sadness. Leonardo had mastered the art of emotion. Strangely, Leonardo never delivered the painting to its original owner. Instead, he kept it with him for the rest of his life, constantly improving it, refining details, and perfecting his masterpiece. Even after centuries, the Mona Lisa remains a symbol of mystery, beauty, and genius, a testament to Leonardo's belief that art should capture the soul, not just the face. Episode 5: The Last Supper, a painting that spoke. In 1495, Duke Ludovico Sforza of Milan gave Leonardo one of his most important commissions, a grand painting of the Last Supper for the monastery of Santa Maria delle Grazie. It was to be a masterpiece unlike any other, a scene that would bring to life the moment Jesus announced that one of his disciples would betray him. Leonardo did not just want to paint figures, he wanted to paint emotions. He studied human expressions, movements, and body language. He wanted each disciple to react differently, showing shock, sadness, anger, and disbelief. The result? A revolutionary painting. Instead of the usual stiff, formal arrangement, Leonardo's Last Supper felt alive. The disciples whispered, gestured, and gasped in reaction to Jesus' words. Judas, the betrayer, clutched a small bag of silver coins, his face half hidden in shadow. But Leonardo's genius also led to problems. Instead of painting on wet plaster, like most frescoes, he experimented with a new technique. Unfortunately, it didn't last. Within years, the paint began to fade and flake. Today, despite multiple restorations, only parts of the original remain. Yet, even in its faded state, The Last Supper remains one of the greatest paintings of all time, capturing not just a religious moment, but the human soul itself. Episode 6: Leonardo's Flying Machines and Futuristic Inventions. Leonardo da Vinci was not just an artist, he was an inventor ahead of his time. While others painted battle scenes, he imagined machines of the future. One of his greatest obsessions? Flight. He spent hours watching birds, studying their wings, and sketching ideas for flying machines. In his notebooks, he designed ornithopters, machines with flapping wings like birds. He even created an early design for a parachute and a helicopter-like device that resembled modern rotor blades. But Leonardo's genius didn't stop there. He invented armored tanks that could roll across battlefields, diving suits for underwater exploration, bridges that could be built quickly for armies. Unfortunately, most of his inventions remained blueprints. Without the right materials or technology, they couldn't be built in his lifetime. Yet, centuries later, engineers would rediscover his designs and turn them into reality. Leonardo had imagined helicopters, submarines, and robots hundreds of years before they existed. Though he lived in the Renaissance, his mind belonged to the future. Episode 7: The Anatomist, Studying the Human Body. Leonardo was not satisfied with just painting people. He wanted to understand them. And to do that, he had to look beneath the skin. He secretly studied human anatomy, dissecting over 30 bodies in hospitals and morgues. He sketched muscles, bones, and organs with such accuracy that his drawings still amaze doctors today. He was the first to correctly illustrate the human spine, show how the heart's valves worked, and even sketch a fetus inside the womb. His anatomical studies helped him create more lifelike paintings. Unlike other artists who guessed how bodies worked, Leonardo knew. He understood how muscles moved when people walked, how light changed the shape of a face, and how emotions were expressed through tiny facial movements. Sadly, his studies were never published in his lifetime. If they had been, medicine might have advanced centuries earlier. Yet his notebooks remain a treasure trove of knowledge, proving once again that Leonardo da Vinci was not just an artist. He was a scientist, an explorer, and a true visionary. Episode 8: Leonardo's Notebooks, The Hidden Genius. While Leonardo da Vinci is known for his paintings, his true genius might be found in his notebooks. These pages, filled with thousands of sketches, diagrams, and ideas, reveal a mind far beyond his time. He carried his notebooks everywhere, writing backward in a mirror script, perhaps to keep his ideas secret, or simply because it felt natural to him. In these pages, he explored anatomy, sketching the most detailed human body studies of his time, engineering, designing bridges, water pumps, and even war machines, astronomy, studying the movement of the sun and stars, physics, testing the laws of motion centuries before Isaac Newton. One of the most incredible things about his notebooks is that many of his ideas were later proven correct. His studies on water flow, flight, and mechanics were so advanced that scientists and engineers still admire them today. Leonardo never published his notebooks, and for centuries, they remained hidden. But today, these pages reveal a mind that saw the future before it happened. Episode 9: The Rivalry with Michelangelo. While Leonardo was a master of art, he was not the only great artist of his time. Another genius was rising, Michelangelo Buonarroti, the sculptor behind David and the painter of the Sistine Chapel ceiling. The two men were complete opposites. Leonardo was graceful, charming, and elegant. He believed art should be full of beauty and harmony. Michelangelo was intense, passionate, and fiery. He believed art should show raw power and emotion. Their rivalry became famous in 1504, when they were both asked to paint massive murals in Florence's town hall, facing opposite walls. Leonardo was supposed to paint the Battle of Anghiari, while Michelangelo worked on the Battle of Cassina. But Leonardo, always a perfectionist, never finished his painting. He experimented with a new technique, but the paint didn't dry properly. Frustrated, he abandoned the work. Meanwhile, Michelangelo went on to complete some of the greatest works in history. Their rivalry lasted for years, but despite their differences, both men pushed each other to greater heights. Even today, their names stand side by side as two of the greatest artists the world has ever known. Episode 10: The Final Years in France. By the early 1500s, Leonardo's time in Italy was coming to an end. He had served dukes, popes, and kings, but he wanted peace. In 1516, at the age of 64, he accepted an invitation from King Francis I of France and moved to Château du Clos-Lucé, a beautiful residence near the king's castle. The king admired Leonardo, treating him like a father figure. Though his health was declining, Leonardo continued working, sketching designs, and giving advice to the French court. He brought his beloved Mona Lisa with him, keeping it by his side, always. Legend says that when he passed away in 1519, the king held him in his arms, mourning the loss of the greatest mind of his time. Leonardo's influence did not die with him. His paintings, inventions, and ideas continued to inspire scientists, engineers, and artists for centuries to come. Episode 11: The Legacy of Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci lived 500 years ago, yet his influence is still everywhere. His paintings remain masterpieces, his notebooks are studied by scientists, and his dreams of flying machines became real airplanes. His legacy teaches us important lessons. Curiosity is the key to greatness. Never stop learning. Everything is connected. Failure is part of success. Even Leonardo's mistakes led to discoveries. But perhaps the greatest lesson of all? The future belongs to those who dare to dream. Leonardo dared to paint beyond imagination, invent beyond possibility, and think beyond his time. And because of that, he remains one of the greatest minds in history. Leonardo da Vinci's life is proof that curiosity, creativity, and determination can change the world. His journey shows us that learning never stops, and every idea has the power to shape the future. If you want to keep exploring more inspiring stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to Read and Learn English, where history, wisdom, and language come together. Hit the subscribe button, like this video, and stay tuned for more amazing stories. Keep learning, keep growing, keep dreaming.